Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. This afternoon I am super excited to bring you a review of this little guy right here. This is the Skilhunt M150 V3, or what I've belovedly nicknamed the miso, since the font kind of looks like it says miso, and it reminds me of those small little cups of miso soup that I order whenever I get sushi. So, with that out of the way, we're going to jump into what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if it applies, what is rubbish about this little flashlight right here. Before we get that out of the way though, just some quick things to cover. First thing is that this light, I'm super excited and grateful to say that this light was sent to me by FlashlightGo.com. So a couple of things to say about that. One, I'm going to try to make sure that that doesn't affect my, sort of the honesty of the review or anything like that doesn't sway me in any type of direction. They're not sending me any payment. They just sent me this to review. But also, let's also support companies like FlashlightGo.com instead of big megacorp USA that has, 50 of the same, Mercedes vans one after another going out of their distribution center, and they don't care about the hobby whatsoever. Why not support companies like this that also want to support viewers like myself? So that's just my 2 cents on it. But with all that out of the way, let's go and jump right in. Now, first thing I did want to do is actually get a size comparison out of the way of our Skilhunt miso. So the first thing I'm gonna compare it to is a sort of standard EDC light that I'm a big fan of. This is the Olight Warrior Mini 3. So this is their sort of smaller EDC light. And yeah, as you can see in most ways, the Skilhunt is beating it. It is shorter. It also has less diameter at the head, although they're similar, it is smaller. Definitely has a smaller diameter in the tail area for sure. And we'll use this light throughout the comparison, but that just gets the first one out of the way. The other one that I'm going to compare it to is a double A size, because this is a 14500 light. But this is also a double A sized light as well, with the Olight i5R EOS. So this is a beloved EDC classic of the community, but as you can see, your Skilhunt is coming in shorter than the Olight itself, with a similar diameter overall. The Olight is a little bit more slim and trim, but though it does waist down about the same in the middle of the light, interestingly enough. And then last, we'll get a light that I absolutely love and throw in just the, fuel on the inside. Here's just a double A, so you can see how slim and trim they've got around that package. And here is my beloved Thai Rook. So as you can see, shorter with the Rook, the Raylight Rook that is, but definitely less in diameter. And just for good measure, here is an Alox 93 millimeter Victorinox. So, with all that out of the way, the other thing I did want to get right out of the way is just the sort of stats, the spreadsheets of this light. This light that they sent me is an awesome spec. It is 4500 of a 519 Nichia. And as you can see, max lumens are at 480. Then they drop down. So this is high turbo 1. Then this is turbo 2, or I guess turbo 1, turbo 2. And then you got sort of a low, medium, high in the mid-range, and then a moonlight and a super low. So we'll kind of talk about this UI, but you can kind of see if you want to pause here. This is also what you would get if you put a double A in, which we'll talk about, but as you can see, it's standard nickel metal hydride, standard double A. So yeah, get that all out of the way. So let's go and jump right into our little miso guy right here. So first thing that I do like a lot about this light is actually its design. I pulled this right out of the package and thought, wow, that thing looks really nice, right? And so it's all the little things, the sort of cuts here into the groove, sort of a heat sink or a faux heat sink. But then you also have these like little flats that they've milled in here onto the top. You also get this really cool design that actually has this grippy texture with these cut-ins, but instead of just having a hard shoulder, they sort of slowly ramp up, if you can see on both sides. You also get this nice detail where it slowly sort of ramps up to the longer head instead of just going like flat and then getting bigger. And sort of same thing here. It slowly ramps, making it all the more smooth transition to the tail cap. And then you get this tail cap, which is really cool because it's knurled this way, but then it also has a micro knurling that you can feel this direction as well. So just overall, lots of little things. I like the pop of blue. Reminds me, like we were talking about, kind of our Olight friend over there. But just really well done, overall. And that kind of takes me into the next thing that I like a lot about this light is just the fit and finish of the light itself. So some lights, you get, and they're a little lower in the price point, and you can get some performance out of that lower light. But to me, they kind of are a little bit soulless, right? They're kind of put together, a tube and a lens and an LED, and threw it together, and that is the light that you get, right? With this, though, everything is more intentionally designed, intentionally finished. It has a beautiful, nice finish on it. Again, nothing is like overly sharp. Everything's nicely rounded off. Everything's thoughtfully designed. This is so grippy, right? It just narrows down. That also comes into the thoughtfully designed pocket clip, which is another thing to like. It is just great. It goes into the pocket so easily, no fight at all. It goes down into your pants really super deep, which is another thing to love. You can also wear it reverse on a cap, which is great. But just overall, there's an attention to detail and sort of a specialness to this light that usually you'll find with companies like Olight or Acebeam, which I found in my experience, as well as Raylight, although most Raylight stuff that I get is titanium, so it's going to feel cool because of that. Next thing I would say, because of that, you continue to put this, in your pocket and reach for it. Instead of buying it, it scratches a niche for a second of a new light, and then you kind of, throw it in a drawer and buy another one. And so just something to keep in mind. Next thing that I do like a lot is the fact that this actually has a magnet in the tail cap. Look, that's nothing new, right? Nothing that is groundbreaking, but the fact that you do have that, I needed to replace now I'm going to think of a circuit breaker, in my house. And of course, when you turn off the main breaker so you don't electrocute yourself, there's no light. So you put this on a metal food rack opposite of it, turned it on, and I was able to work in the dark because this had this magnet on there. So again, nothing groundbreaking, but if you're in a pinch and carrying this as an EDC, everyday carry light, right? Putting this under a hood to change a battery or getting up, under something. Hey guys, this actually wasn't planned, oddly enough, but it was perfect timing. So my car's battery has died, and so perfect example why, on the little miso here, magnetic tail cap is just perfect for exact events like this. Luckily I'm home, but still it's getting dark out, so this is perfect to be able to illuminate, as it's going to take me the next 15 minutes to install this battery and put everything back together. So that's something else to like here. Now, with the light itself, another thing that I do like is that it actually has a battery indicated button here, and the button is recessed. That's thoughtful, so it doesn't accidentally turn on in your pocket. And again, it is a nice clicky button. It's not too loud, but it is tactile, and you have to intentionally click it, which I do like. Like we were saying, it also has a light here. So on high, it's solid. and then when it gets to medium, it starts blinking, and then it will turn a red solid, and then when it's on critical, it'll be red and blinking. So that's another thing to like just overall. So lots to like here. Fit and finish is awesome. That comes with all the thoughtful designs as well, and little touches that make this light overall feel more than the sum of its parts and have a soul. And what this is meaning is that the first thing that I love is that this thing just is perfect for EDC as an overall concept. Look, like we mentioned, this light isn't super duper powerful, but neither is this, which this has been a favorite of carriers for many, many years. These, i5Rs and i5Ts. So you're getting more power than the i5 with this guy. Instead of 300 or 350-ish, you're getting a brighter 420. And again, you can go up from there all the way to 750 if you go with the 6500. But honestly, I think that this is more than enough light with the Nichia. So because this light, another thing just for that concept of carrying, I love the way this thing carries. It just disappears in the pocket. That's why I just continue to pick it up day after day. It's either, oh, I want something nice that's titanium, and back to this. Oh, and hey, I want the other ray light that I have, and back to this, right? This is like the mainstay. And really, it takes everything that you love about the O-light, but just shrinks it down. I don't know if I need that extreme power unless I'm trying to be tactical. And generally, I'm not putting myself in situations where I'm like out at night or something where I need a tactical light, right? So then just the overall weight and the overall, and these aren't even bulky, these carry great. But again, just shrinking everything down, that 80%, really does make a huge difference where it just disappears in the pocket and is awesome in that way. So I just love the way this carries so thin, so deep, is lightweight, is small, but yet big enough where it doesn't feel like a micro light either. Another thing that I do love a lot, actually, that makes it feel a little bit more special probably, is its very close to O-light magnetic charging system that it actually has in place. So, like a noob, I have put it over here on accident, but I've been able to grab it. So you have this little light here that magnetically has a brass contact. So you snap it into place like O-light at auto centers, and it's even got a shelf here, so it even sits into place. And once it is sat into place, you'll see that it is a blue color, or a red color, my bad. Once it's done charging, which it just charges by a standard USB Type A charger, once it's all done with the charge, it will illuminate blue. So really simple. But what this means is that this keeps everything watertight. You put the battery in one time, everything's watertight. You don't have to worry about your seals wearing out or anything like that. You just jump right in and charge it, via the magnetic charger system, and you're good to go. You put it back in your pocket. So a lot to love there with that overall concept. Another thing also that I do love, speaking about the battery, is the fact that you do have the right to service this as an owner. So unlike some lights, none of the ones that I have here on the table, but some lights have a battery that to get thin and small, they put a light in there that they glue in, and there's no screws. There's no way to really take it out in a pinch. So the only thing you're left to is only charging that battery, and once that battery dies, you're toast, right? You have to either send it in or you have to buy another one and create more eco waste or whatever, right? Spend your hard-earned money. With this, what's so great is that even though this has this in here, or this feature, I'm also running on the inside, because funnily enough, this didn't come with a battery. Now you can get that as an option, but just FlashlightGo sent just this empty, which is fine, because I have an amazing Ace Beam 14500 in there with a USB Type-C. So now I've got both bases covered. When I'm at home, I can use the magnetic charging system, but when I'm out and about, if I'm in a pinch, I can use this as well. Even better, if I run out of this in something like a power outage, or if I was traveling, state to state or even around the world, this would be a great light, because another thing to love is that a AAA is not a rare battery at all. It's like the most common battery right beside its brother, the AA. And although you won't get the insane brightness, of the spicy 3.7 volt, instead you're at a 1.2 volt or 1.3 volt, you can still get a usable, respectable lumens of 160 lumens, right? That's more than the Olight i3 T. And so you still get an absolutely usable light, and also with multiple modes. That's the next thing to really like, probably the most about this. The diet version is that it was hard a couple years ago to find lights that had multiple modes that were 14500. You could have lights that had low and high, or maybe one that had low and medium and high, but you'd have to look for some old Olight that they made eons ago to get a multi-mode light in 14500, or you had to go to the very well loved and very well respected Zebra light, but unfortunately a little underpowered in my opinion, since you're getting 400 and something from that. And I think the most extreme, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when I was looking, it's like 225 lumens or something out of those particular lights last time I checked. So that was the short and sweet version. The more intense version is the UI. This is the best UI I think I've ever experienced in any light. You could argue with Andrill, it's infinitely customizable, but I like a preset, because like this, you can tell how long everything runs and get an idea. Plus 50 days, almost 2 whole months on Moonlight. Nice. You also, mad respect that you're still getting the same, and I've tested this on both, the same Moonlight, whether you have the spicy 14500 or you have the smaller, AA in it. You get that low Moonlight, so you don't have to pick one or the other. You get the best of both worlds. But talking about that UI, you have multiple modes. And at first I was kind of like, huh? But if you used any Olight, it's basically like that, but just a little better. So what you get is you get a standard click on. These are your standard modes. You have kind of an indoor low, a medium, and then a high, right? And you hold and cycle through those 3. But then what you get is you get a double tap to turbo, 1. But then if you press and hold again, well, that was the higher turbo. But as you can see, I'm going back and forth. So there's a slightly less dim and a slightly higher turbo. And this is just all for battery, consumption, essentially. Do you want to have turbo go for 3 minutes and then kick down and run for 65 minutes? Or do you want to have it run for 1 minute and then get 65 minutes instead? So it's kind of a pick your poison for your situation. If you need max brightness, or you want something that's going to work for a little bit of time and then turn your light off, but you need that max power, you have options now. But the best of all about this UI is actually the Moonlight. 1, you get a super duper low Moonlight, which is huge. It's like one of my favorite, light mode. But then you also get, if you press and hold, a 3 lumen mode. So you get the Moonlight Firefly, and then you get super low. But here's what's so great. In so many lights, sometimes I'll go into Moonlight, and then I'll accidentally try and do something, and then I'll end up on turbo, and I'm scalding my eyes in the middle of the night. But they've thought of this. No matter if you're on the Moonlight or the super low, no matter how many times you hit this, 2 clicks, 3 clicks for strobe, right? It will not get out of that mode. Now, when you're on the normal mode, and then you triple click, it will go to your specialty mode. Hold on, sorry. Anywho, I've messed everything up. My bad. But anyways, you get the idea here. When you are using the light itself, no matter how many times you click, you can't accidentally get out of this mode. You have to turn it off and then turn it back on into another mode. Then you can double tap and go into your turbo, or you can triple tap and you can go into the next mode that you want. So with that being, the last thing with this UI, as you can see, that I was slightly struggling with for some reason, is that this actually has specialty modes, there we go, instead of just strobe. So you can see the strobe here that oscillates just for a second for disorientation. But then if you tap again, you get your SOS. And then if you double tap again while you're in that 3 mode, you get your strobe. So you could set this down somewhere and it's gonna pop off on turbo for just a second to conserve battery, not get heat up. But if you were to hang this off of a tree or something like this, you could, walk away or face this in the direction of a pack while camping, walk out into the woods or something. You can always find your way back with this strobe, but it's not going to drain the battery super fast. So again, that's a feature that I don't know, or if any O-lights have yet, that some other lights have. But again, it's just the whole experience that lock you into the moonlight / super low, and there's no way to accidentally get out of that. You tap once to get into your normal mode, or you double tap to get into the turbo 1 and turbo 2. You always know what you're going to get. Now, the only thing that I would say to keep in mind is that this is a memory base. So if you put it on, medium in the normal modes, it's going to go back to medium. It's not going to reset at low. So you just got to kind of make a habit of either setting it to 1 and always using that, or always changing it to the lowest setting. Like after you're done using this mode, the super low, go back to your moonlight and then turn it off so it goes back on moonlight. But still, even the super low is not going to blind your eyes in the middle of the night. It's just definitely going to be a little bit brighter. So these are all things to absolutely love this awesome light. The ability to use different batteries, swap batteries, have the USB Type-C and the magnetic charging system in one, and then the right to service. Overall, the sort of just perfect way that this fits into EDC with the increased brightness over other 14500 lights that are out there, in a respectable, usable brightness still, and full capability of customizable modes, even on AA batteries themselves. Just a ton to love here. Now, there is some things to dislike, and we'll kind of go over that. Oh, of course, the other thing to love is just the performance. My bad. I completely skipped over this, spaced. So you get a great flood with this, but it is a reflector with an orange peel, and it has my favorite light brand, the Nichia 519 and model. This is the 4500, so it's a perfect right in the middle. The other thing to love is that this does come with so many different options, and you saw it over here. You get your XPL CRI for the highest performance. You get your Samsung for some high performance, but 5000K. That's also going to be a pretty floody optic. You get the Nichia for that perfect, beautiful color reproduction and that rosy tint that you are used to, right? And then you get the 3000K. Oh, gosh. You get that beautiful 3000K for eye comfort, all day use, right? All in this light. And to me, usually lights, you get 1 or 2 colors. You get multiple options here, which is something just to absolutely love as well. But back to what I was saying, let's just do a comparison. You get a pretty wide but solid flood, and then you get a sort of fuzzy, but it's still pretty defined, wider hotspot, and that's due to that texturing on the orange peel reflector. Now, if we compare that to something like this O-light, you can see that the O-light fades a little bit more on the edges here, and has a little bit of a, I'm trying to be fair here, little smaller, but it sort of fades. So when you're using this at night, it's kind of hard to tell like where the edge of your light begins and when it starts to fade out. You also got a smaller hotspot, although this is probably a little throwier of a light itself, but they're pretty easily compared. But the main thing we're trying to just see here is that this has a defined edge, which your reflectors are, known for. If we again compare this to another light that's really popular here, you can see that this actually has a really good flood on full, which does beat out the miso here, but again, you're kind of losing where the light begins. It slowly transfers over onto my finger instead of just like it's there and then you're instantly getting that, you know, solid light, right? So it just depends on what you like. I do like this for searching around, having that defined edge, and I appreciate that it has that broader hotspot. It's just great for EDC, but still, even on lower powers, you get good long range. So we're out here with the Skilhunt. It's you know, dusk, sun is setting. I can see it with my natural vision, but not very much in front of me. The camera definitely makes it look better. But you can see here, you get the moonlight and we're gonna go over the beam shot. This is just the two modes that go in the low mode or the moonlight modes. Then you kick it up into the medium. And as you can see here, you get a really nice spill for being an EDC light, a lot of flood from left to right, but you get that defined hotspot. And that's what's great about a reflector, right, is you do have that defined hotspot and then that defined edge, instead of an edge that just sort of washes away into nothing and it's almost like hard to notice. This is definitely like defined, like inner, outer, right? And so this is really nice. I can see all the way over to this tree, all the way over here, and this is the highest of the medium mode. And then you can double click into turbo and go up to the highest here, which is about 650 lumens. So definitely enough to guide around, especially right now. Like I said, it is about dusk. So like I was trying to say, to what I dislike, this is a great light that I love way more than I thought I even would, to be honest, and I'm so glad that FlashlightGo did send it to me. But as anything, there are some things to note, right? So the first one, and probably the biggest qualm that I have, is the magnetic charging system. Now this is an experience of 1-in-1, so this might not be on every Skilhunt, but because the pocket clip is right here, and I don't like to move the pocket clip back and forth and scratch the finish, I've found that when you put this on here, you almost have to kind of move it around a little bit, like turn it, and then it will go from like blue to like purple, and then like you almost have to find perfectly where it's red and then set it and be like, oh, I hope it doesn't move. And then it will turn blue. Now, if I put it on the blue mode and then will it charge as well? Maybe, right? But I do like it to say, hey, I'm red, now I'm blue, right? And I think they maybe tried to solve this by putting these little cuts in that actually kind of perfectly fit in between where the clip is, and it does seat deeper, but still just something to keep in mind, you know, that I have noticed when using that. The other thing that I would probably say, again, I would keep this in mind, but this isn't the brightest light in the world. It's enough for me, right? I mean, my favorite lights are this, which is pretty bright, you know what I think about 1800 lumens. But also my other light that I love is my Raylight Pineapple Mini Pro Max, which is like a 4,000 lumen light. So this has more power than that. I'd much rather have that perfect emitter with that perfect CRI and eye comfort all day and a mix of performance than having ultra high performance. You know, there's lights that I have sitting over there and I don't use them because the blue of the light is just too much, and it basically scalds my eyes and makes it not fun to use. So kind of pick your poison, but something to keep in mind as well. The only other thing, and I don't think that this is a all the time thing, but mine came with a little tiny small mark on the anodization right here, but the rest of the light is perfect. So I really don't think, I mean, I have to call it out, right? There is like a part where it was like kind of smudged with the but honestly, I wouldn't be afraid that you're going to get that. That was just my one experience here, but still, I love the light even because of that. And, you know, lights will probably get marked up even if you're as careful as I am, you know, when using this light. And just keeping that all in mind, there's nothing rubbish at all about this light, so that takes me into the end of this review. Wow, we love this light. It rocks as a everyday carry light. It's not too bright where you're going to accidentally blind yourself even if you put it in turbo indoors, but yet it has plenty of light to fully saturate a backyard and guide yourself around, even on those medium modes. Has an amazing UI that even makes it using it every day for EDC even more enjoyable. It's got all the different tricks, the great pocket clip, that isn't an afterthought. It's a great pocket clip. You know, it's got the AA compatibility, but it's that 14500. You can use the USB Type-C protected type and it still runs. There's no sort of problem. It has the magnetic charging system, so everything is sealed up. It even has the ability, if you wanted to, although you're getting all the emitters you want, but you could easily remove this top and modify it with a different LED as well for my modders out there. So just an awesome light. And the greatest thing of all is that, you know, this price is very, very respectable. It's under $50 and maybe even be under that $40 mark. And for a light that has all this tech, like a big O light that's usually like $80, but for like $50, $45, absolutely all day. You're getting, to me, I will say better than O light in my opinion, with the LEDs and the UI and the fit and finish is right up there, but for a cheaper price, what's there not to like? Just that simple. Mic drop, right? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review of the little M150 or MISO Skilhunt that I have here. I absolutely am excited to get more stuff from Skilhunt after having this. They have kind of an interesting name, Skilhunt, and I'm like, okay, what's that, right? Instead of some other ones that are a little bit more straightforward. So maybe I've kind of ignored them because of the name, but no, I'm not ignoring them anymore. Definitely have my eyes on some of their models right now. But with all that out of the way, if you liked this, please go ahead and give a like, as well as subscribe to the channel, as it does help. As well, go ahead and leave some comments down below, as I love fellowshipping with you guys and just hearing what you guys have to say or any questions that you have. Most importantly, I appreciate you taking time and watching this video, as there's so many amazing content creators you could be watching right now, and you decided to click my little channel and support me. I really, really do appreciate that. Of course, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and you guys definitely stay safe. Peace.